Hi, this is These Unprecedented Times, and I'm Clare Hogan with the Studio for Teaching and Learning Innovation. In 2021, we all have goals. Maybe you want to worry less, or eat more vegetables, or get more reading done. That's why we decided to start the year off with a mini-series devoted to resources on campus that can help you achieve all your New Year's resolutions. If you have goals related to exercise, you're in luck. This week, we spoke with Maddy Havranek, the Fitwell class supervisor for the rec, to talk about all of their resources for students, from virtual yoga classes to the weight room and everything in between.
I'm Maddy Havranek. I'm a junior, currently at William & Mary, and I have been a fitness instructor at the rec, I think, for almost 2 years now. I started my first semester on campus, actually, but now I'm the Fitwell class supervisor, and this will be my second semester doing that.
Excellent. So you're the person who sends out the emails to everybody's inboxes that we know and love.
I am, yes. Yeah, so it's my little avatar picture that you see when you get an email from Fitwell patrons, which you should be looking at for many more emails from me this semester. But yeah, basically I'm just kind of I would say the student liaison that kind of works in between our big bosses, who, are paid staff, and our instructors who are students and some faculty and staff as well. And I just do a lot of the scheduling, a lot of the coordinating, and I'm kind of just your go-to person to email if you have any questions about our group fitness program. And then I have some knowledge about some of the other stuff that we have going on. That's my main kind of realm of expertise.
Got you. And I know you said before you have this sort of overarching big boss role, you were a fitness instructor for several years. And I know this because I've taken your 3x3x3 class and it kicked my butt. So can you talk a little bit about the classes that you used to teach?
Yeah, definitely. So I still do teach. I didn't teach this past semester, but I'll be back on the schedule this upcoming semester. And I started teaching body combat, which is a Les Mills format of kickboxing. So that is kind of where my heart lies, honestly, right now. That's basically just, punching the air to music, super fun. A lot of heart, a lot of energy in that class. And then I also teach what Claire was just talking about, which is 3x3x3, which is basically a strength training workout that kind of targets all of the different muscle groups of the body, and works with kind of intervals so that it's a very very organized way to work out, which I think is always good. I love to know when I walk into a room what exactly to expect and what sort of energy I'm going to have to exert. So, and that class allows me to put my own kind of spin on it versus body combat is much more choreographed. So those are the classes that I teach. I've also done some of our wonderful, I don't know if you guys have heard of these, but our Fitwell series. But those are a little bit more of a small group kind of entity where you get together with the same group of people, usually for 4 weeks or so, once or twice a week, and kind of work towards a specific goal. So I taught one called Boxalates, where we did kind of a mix of kickboxing and a mix of Pilates, and that was really fun. So that's another way that I'm kind of involved at the rec as well.
Cool. So yeah, talk a little bit about the classes that the rec offers. I know you mentioned you've taught some classes. I know there's the series, there's ones in person, there's ones online. Talk a little bit about that. What can you offer to students?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say right now we probably have our widest variety of class opportunities. I wouldn't say in terms of formats, just because those have had to be pared down. We have cycling, we have Pilates, we have bar, we're bringing back bar cycle. I know a lot of people have really missed that. So that's kind of a mix, a half and half of bar and cycling. We have body pump, which is your typical kind of weightlifting, cardio weightlifting class, body combat, which I was just talking about that I teach, which is, kickboxing format. We have yoga, tons and tons of yoga on the schedule this semester. And the great thing that I think that we're going to continue to do even after, this kind of period of COVID uncertainty passes is we have opportunities in person, we have opportunities online, and those in-person opportunities, we're doing them, at the rec center, so in kind of a big gym setting. We also have some at Matoka, which has been a really great opportunity that I know a lot of people have really enjoyed, especially for yoga, bar, and Pilates. Doing those classes, there's something so much better about doing those classes outside and in front of beautiful Matoka than doing them in a studio, I think. And then we also have some classes being offered on the Wellness Center patio, which really has just allowed us to do a lot of great things and continue our program throughout this kind of, again, COVID period. And we're, keeping masks on, keeping social distancing. And that's been one of our big focuses as well, is just making sure that everyone is feeling safe. And that's why also we feel like we've really been able to cater to everyone's kind of comfort levels with our virtual offerings. People can take classes from the comfort of their own rooms, comfort of their own homes, wherever they are, whether they're on campus or off campus. And, if, for example, you have a class from 12-1 and you have, a class from 2 onwards, you could take something from 1 to 2 in a virtual setting, which helps, I think, with scheduling as well. And then we also have, those classes that are in person for people who are comfortable and who still want to have that personal interaction. And I think that's another great thing about our programs, honestly, is that especially in kind of the beginning of last semester, I think the rec center was one of the only real outlets for people, especially for like incoming freshmen who didn't necessarily have a lot of other organizations or have a lot of connections on campus. That was something that we heard a lot from those people, that it was one of their only ways that they were getting, consistent social interaction, which was really awesome. And hopefully this semester it'll be, a continuation of the same thing.
Yeah, that's so cool that you're sort of like this outlet, especially for these new students who like don't really know anybody. I mean, there's so little, there's not a lot of social interaction this past semester.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that you get to sort of be that and see that.
Yeah, and it was crazy too. I mean, so we do, hiring obviously every semester, and I think the amount of freshmen that we had auditioning was like insurmountable. It was crazy. We had many people, and a lot of people also auditioning for cycling, which is obviously like you have to do that class in person. So it just was like a real testament, I think, to how many people were really impacted and really fell in love with our program.
That's so cool. That's amazing. I love that you have this wide range of offerings. And so even if somebody's not on campus, they can still take these classes through the rec. That's so cool. And my favorite thing about the virtual classes is that you can turn your camera off so nobody can see you struggling with the exercises, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
But for somebody who is on campus, who maybe doesn't want to do the classes, maybe they want to do their own workouts, how is the rec, the physical space of the rec, working in COVID-19?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we still have, the rec center is still open. Obviously, we have kind of pared down hours. I believe they're from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., but don't quote me on that. And really the way that we're kind of making sure that everyone is staying safe, we're enforcing social distancing, unlike, I think, any other rec center that I've really heard of and any other, gym setting. We are requiring masks inside, which was a decision that I was pretty for, just because I think that it's a lot, in terms of enforcing it, a lot easier, and it allows for everyone that walks into our rec center to understand the expectations and understand, they can feel safe that everyone's going to be wearing that mask at all times. And every hour and a half, we're also implementing, and we have been implementing, cleaning shifts. So basically, some of our facility supervisors walk around with those big fancy guns and spray down each of the pieces of equipment and, wipe down everything as well, making sure that anything that could potentially have been touched is being, disinfected, cleaned. And then we're also obviously encouraging students in between, or, users of the rec in between each of their machine uses and stuff like that, to make sure that they're being clean and stuff like that. So really, I think as far as, the programs we were able to offer before COVID and the programs we're able to offer now, I don't really think there's been that much of a reduction in those things. I think it's really just been kind of us having to pivot and get creative in terms of how we can offer those things. But I think that's a real source of pride, at least for me, to just be able to see the amount that we've been able to offer and the response we've been able to get from other people and from the people that are using those services.
Yeah, and I know you said that you sort of like restrict the number of people that are in the building at one time. So do you have to sign up to go in? What is that process like?
Yeah. So we have these things called facility reservations, which basically you can just do on our website. And that's where we basically do all of our reservations. So if you want to register for a class, you want to register for a personal training session, a series, anything like that, you can do it through our website, campusrec.wm.edu. And you can sign up for a facility reservation, which basically just says, I would like to come to the rec during this hour and a half block. So in between cleaning sessions, and you just show up, you swipe your ID as you would normally, and you're good to go and good to do your workout. The other thing that we're doing right now is that the weight room, just because it is a smaller space and it tends to be a hotly contested space as well, we are limiting the number of people that are down there. So, if you come at a peak period, you might have to wait in line a little bit, but that's something that, we're just trying to limit the amount of people that are down there, keep it, easily enforceable, and make sure that we can get that cleaning that's necessary in as much as possible. And I would say too that I feel like limiting the number of spots might seem like it might be difficult to get there, but I don't think I've ever had a hard time registering for a spot. So, if it's something that you'd like to get to the rec, and you're like, oh, I have to register, maybe they won't give me spots. There most likely are, especially if you're kind of on top of it and planning accordingly.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Sounds like a good system.
Mm-hmm.
What types of equipment do you have in the rec? Because I know most people sort of think of the gym as like, oh, you've got the treadmills, you've got the stationary bikes, but I know the rec also has stuff like courts and like the rock climbing wall. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we definitely have those treadmills and stationary bikes, and we also have elliptical machines and all of those kind of exercise machines that kind of target specific muscles, and that's kind of what we have on the floor and then down in the weight room as well, in terms of also like squat racks. We also have racquetball courts, squash courts. We have just like the gym setting in general that I think a lot of sport clubs are now practicing in. We have the MAC, which is, oh my gosh, I don't even know what that stands for. The MAC, I don't know what it stands for, but it's like the big gym area where you might have played like indoor soccer or something like that for during an intramural sport. And I think rowing is doing a lot of stuff down there. We also have, oh my gosh, what was the other thing that you mentioned, Claire? I don't know. We have
The rock climbing wall?
The rock climbing wall.
Cool,
the pool's open, yeah. And the rock climbing wall, I think we're at this moment, what I've heard is the rock climbing wall might not be open again this semester, just because, and a lot of people actually ask me about this, but you can't really clean a rope well, unfortunately. And that's the main thing, is that we're really focusing on, those like high touch surfaces, which a rope definitely is. There's no good way to, disinfect it and clean it. So hopefully as we continue on, maybe we'll be able to open that up to a select number of people. But as of right now, I don't think we will. But again, there still is a lot of stuff that you can do at the rec. It's just been, getting creative and thinking about how we can change the spaces and kind of repurpose them. For example, for group fitness, we don't do our classes in our studios anymore. If you've ever been to a class pre-COVID, we were doing them in, the upstairs studio and the downstairs studio. They just don't get good enough ventilation. So we've moved them into the big kind of gym area. And that's been a great space for us to do that as well. So again, just getting creative, changing the spaces, changing the ways that we're doing things and kind of challenging the status quo, I would say.
Got you. And so I know you have like this huge range of classes that you offer and equipment and group fitness activities that you can do. So for somebody who is maybe like just getting into fitness or into exercise and is an absolute beginner, like what would you recommend? What should they start with?
Oh, that is a great question. Obviously I'm definitely biased, but I would say to try one of our wonderful fitness classes, maybe try one virtually. I think that, there are some great offerings that we have virtually, and that, especially if you're, a beginner and maybe are feeling a little bit self-conscious about coming to one of our classes, to try that out. But I would say personally the classes, just because for me, it's been such a great thing to be able to come to the classes and really connect with the instructor. And I think that if you have someone and have that connection with someone who can, is going to be walking you through your workout, that's really inspiring. They can, kind of help guide you along that path and, point you in the right direction. And all of our instructors are so wonderful that, having that connection to someone on your fitness journey, I think is always good. But if you're not willing to do that, then maybe coming in and just trying out some of our machines, just, there's instructions on each of them. So trying out some of those and just kind of figuring out what you like to do and what you're interested in. But definitely our classes.
Love the class. Gotta plug the classes, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Course. And so for this upcoming semester, I know you probably know pretty much all the programming because you're going to be sending out all those emails, right? Or at least you have some insight into the behind the scenes at the rec. What are you most excited about, like for this semester, about what's happening at the rec?
Oh, that's a really good question.
And if you're not excited about anything, that's okay.
No, I'm so excited about all of it. I think for me, I'm excited, and this is like just like me from like an administrative perspective. I think last semester I spent a lot of time like having to figure things out. And I think personally, I'm excited just to be able to kind of sit back and watch everything play out in the way that I'm like expecting it to, versus last semester was a lot of like, again, pivoting, trying to figure things out. So I'm really excited to see our programs and be able to offer more things to people and be able to kind of get back into routine in terms of our programs and allow just our instructors, our patrons, everyone to kind of know what to expect and be able to kind of find their way in terms of those expectations and come into a routine, which I think was difficult to do last semester, but that I remember as being really great from, my previous semesters before COVID. So I think that's what I'm most excited about. And I'm also really excited to get back to teaching. It's been a long time, I think, since this past summer, since I've taught a class. I miss my patrons, including you, Claire. I miss you. So I'm excited.
Oh my goodness. What classes are you going to be teaching? You can plug all your classes.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to be teaching, at least for the foreseeable future, 3x3x3. We have 2 seniors that are teaching combat, so I'm letting them kind of take the wheel on that. And then hopefully next semester or at the end of the semester, I'll hop back on combat. But 3x3x3 for sure.
Fantastic. And so if anybody had any questions about the rec, where could they find the answers? Could they email you? Just contact information, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, if it's kind of like a general question, I would definitely say turn to campusrec.wm.edu. That's our website where we have most of our program information, that kind of thing, like descriptions of our classes, descriptions of our facilities, that sort of thing, and hours, that all that good stuff. But if it's like a specific question, you can definitely email me. My email is mrhavranek, which is difficult to spell, but it's probably in this podcast title.
Yes.
So at email.wm.edu. So you can email me, and I also send out the emails. So if you get those emails, you can just reply and I will try to get back to you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Sophie or Jacob, do you have any extra questions for Maddy about fitness or anything?
I actually have a quick question before you go.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, Maddy, if you have any New Year's resolutions.
Oh, my New Year's resolutions? Oh my gosh. So this was kind of mine last year, and I think it's kind of a continuing New Year's resolution, but I really would like to work on my posture. I think that last year I made it like 2 months where I would kind of like be sitting somewhere and I was like, oh, need to sit up a little straighter. But I think that that's something that I'd like to work on this semester as well, or this year as well.
That's a good one. Now I'm realizing that I'm like hunching over the microphone. I'm like, oh, I got to bring my shoulders back.
It's one of those things that I feel like it's really difficult because you have to think about it all the time, and I just don't have that kind of brain capacity. So yeah.
Right. Well, that's definitely a good one.
My resolution this year was to get to move my desk up so I can stand at it, which I'm already really excited about because I just fall asleep during classes, just sitting there and trying to listen.
Yeah.
So this will keep me attentive.
No, that's great.
Really nice talking to you, Maddy.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Of course.
To find out more information about the rec, check out their website at campusrec.wm.edu. That's campusrec.wm.edu. Thanks so much to Maddy for coming on the show today. And if you like what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud. This is These Unprecedented Times, and I'm Clare Hogan with the Studio for Teaching and Learning Innovation. This is part 2 of our 2021 mini-series, all about goals and how to achieve them. If you're like a lot of us, one of your New Year's resolutions might be to read more or to pick up a new hobby. If so, you might want to check out all the resources at SWEM Library, but with so many rooms and departments, it's hard to know where to start. Fortunately, our guests can steer you in the right direction. This week, we're talking with Amber Blanton, a student employee at SWEM who works everywhere from the Makerspace to the circulation desk.
My name's Amber Blanton. I work as a Makerspace student assistant at the library, but I also work in circulation and reservations. I help students check out material as well with COVID stuff going around. I've been scanning a lot of books, so many books, oh my God, to make sure everyone's got the resources they need online.
Awesome. So can we start with the Makerspace? You said that you're really involved with the Makerspace. I feel like a lot of students don't necessarily know where that is, what that is, and how they can use it. Can you talk a little bit about what the Makerspace is?
Oh, I'd be glad to. It hurts my heart when a lot of people don't know about it. So Makerspace in SWEM is on the first floor. It's in the little hallway between the computer labs and the Read and Relax. And Makerspace is free and open for all. So by all means, anyone, regardless of any major. So of course we get engineering students that are working on a project, but I've also had the coolest class project I've seen is someone working in humanities for their Greek class. They made a little, I think an amphoros, that's what they call them, a little vase replica for their class. Mm-hmm. So there's so many multiple applications for it. But yeah, it's free to come by. We have, with COVID, we do one-on-one Zoom appointments, and for anything that we do by hand, which in addition to 3D printing and stuff, we do sewing, we do vinyl cutting, we help you learn how to 3D model. Any stuff like that, we can schedule up again, one-on-one appointment to do that.
Yeah, so it seems like you have a lot of materials in there, right? You have the 3D printers, you have sewing stuff.
Mm-hmm. We've got 8 Evo 3D printers. We also have an Ultimaker and a MakerBot 3D printer. Again, all of these are free to use. You just got to take a quick 30-minute training session, and we'll teach you the basics. And anything more project specific, we provide consultation and any kind of advice for what you may need. But in addition to that, we have a sewing machine and a digital embroidery machine. Yeah, a lot of use out of that one, really. A lot of people like to make little patches. It's really cute. We also have, speaking of cute, we also have a button maker and a vinyl cutter. People like to make little stickers or decals for each other's water bottles. So it's cute. I love it. I need more people in there.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay for any of the materials? It's totally free?
Totally free. They'll charge you for paper here, but they won't charge you for plastic.
That's amazing. And so if somebody wanted, say to make a button, design a button and make it with the button maker, they would
Mhm.
just have to do that quick training course? How would that work?
For the button specific, there's no real training course, but we do have like on our website, if you look at the swim libraries and click under the Makerspace webpage, they'll have like a little PDF saying, if you have an image, just put it in this little circle, and then you can print that out. Unfortunately, we don't have color printers here, so that's another step in the process. But you have to print that out, and then you can just take it to the button machine, and bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
Wow, that's so cool.
They'll have the steps for it right there.
That's amazing. I definitely, next time I'm in swim, I'm going to stop by and use those 3D printers. That seems super
Yes,
cool.
please.
So you said you also work in the circulation desk. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And so you're sort of helping students with research. So if a student has a research project that they're trying to complete and, maybe they don't have all the resources, how can SWEM assist them with that sort of project?
Sure. So you can always go up to any kind of circulation staff and mention maybe having trouble finding a book of a certain topic, or just physically where it's at the library. We'll be able to direct you. But anything more complicated, maybe you need. Earlier, actually, this week, I got a call from someone saying they needed a specific article and a specific law code for a specific state and a specific year. When people get into the really nitty gritty, we do have research librarians that are available. There's a live chat for them available right in the homepage of SWIM libraries. You can talk with research librarians. You can also talk with special collections, as well as the media center. So they're really helpful. They'll be able to get you right where you need to go for anything that's more like specific like that.
Awesome. And I know a lot of students in the new year thinking about sort of their goals for 2021. A lot of people have this goal of like reading more and exploring new genres of books. So how can SWEM help students who maybe are looking for some interesting things to read?
Oh my God, you are like speaking directly to me because I have that same New Year's resolution. Because SWEM staff like has done like an amazing job of pushing towards more digital inclusivity / accessibility with all of their materials. So working with Reservations and like helping scan some of the stuff, like worst case situation, if we don't have an ebook, we'll be able to scan the pages you need for you. And I'm like finding all these books that are super interesting now that are now available on ebook. So I've been like kind of going through on the library page and just bouncing through a couple tabs of these books. There's so much available now. Like most of everything is going to be available online. And if you need something more specific, you can always send a request with us. Or there's, in the absolute worst case, you can always go through interlibrary loan, and we'll be able to get that for you.
So it seems like even if a student isn't even on campus, maybe if they're home for the semester, they can still access those SWEM resources.
Oh yeah, if you want something mailed to you, this is actually a little pro tip not everyone knows, but if you're trying to check out library materials, we're trying to make it a little bit more accessible. This is currently in the works, but as it is now, you can email the library at swcirc, williammary.edu, and you can request a UPS shipping label. So anything that you want shipped directly to, maybe you live a couple states away, we can send the book to you and the shipping label to return it, and you can just drop it off at any UPS location. For any students that live in Virginia, but just not near Williamsburg, anything that you happen to check out pre-COVID or during COVID, you can also drop them off at any Virginia library. You may have to call ahead just to make sure, because some libraries say yes, some libraries say no. Their policies are a little individual at this moment, but that option is there too.
Interesting. And that kind of brings me to one of my next questions, which is like, I'm sure you get a really good behind the scenes look at how SWEM operates in sort of your various different roles at the library. Are there any resources or programs that SWEM has that you think, wow, this is so cool, and not a lot of students are utilizing it, or not a lot of students know about it?
So I really do believe Makerspace for sure is up on there. Maybe I'm a little biased since I spent a lot of time there. Because it breaks my heart. A senior will come in and it's their last semester and they're like, oh, I've seen this for so many years and I've never gotten to try it. So I really hope that with 2021, trying to make it fun, that people will try to like learn something new and yeah, there's books to read and stuff, but we're trying to get out there, physically get a new hobby. The Makerspace is going to be a great resource for that. Even for those that can't be there even physically, we do have resources like links to tutorials, as well as other resources that may be available to view online. And of course, if you ever need help with any projects, can also give you a consultation there with like with any kind of projects you're trying to do.
Awesome. That sounds so cool. And so this is just a personal question, I guess, out of curiosity. For the 3D printers, like if you were to model something, is there like a specific software that they want you to use to model that 3D object?
So most of the Makerspace staff here is trained in Fusion 360, which is more towards an engineering-based kind of purpose. But myself and a couple other of my coworkers, they know Blender, which is more for like art stuff. We've had people trying to model, like maybe they're trying to do cosplay and they're trying to make like little shoulder pads for their character or little horns. They'll come and ask me, like, "Is this looking good? I want to make sure that when I print this, it doesn't just vomit, that can hold its own."
Right.
I love seeing more students come in for those kind of purposes. Of course, with COVID, it's going to be less. But
Right.
I just want to make sure everyone's still having fun while this is going on. So, I mean, within reason, of course, to like come and print something out, maybe print something out, sterilize it, make a good gift.
I think that's so cool. That's a space that I personally have not been in enough, and I am a senior.
You have to come in.
I know. I really do need to. I'm also in swim all the time. I work in the media center, so I'm like around. But I wanted to know, like, as a Makerspace employee, like, how do you help students? Like, do you know all of the like 3D printing things? Are you like on the other side pulling the lever? I don't know how 3D printers work. Or, are you good at like sewing machines? Like, what's your thing?
So our Makerspace staff, each of us knows like the basics of the Makerspace, and by that I would say like teaching you how to 3D print, like the steps involved with that, how to navigate like the hardware and the software related to that. But each employee has like different little specializations. This isn't something I do, but some of my coworkers, they do like laser etching and electronics. So I'm trying to make a little robot buddy to keep you company during COVID. We got you. On my end, I do more of the sewing / embroidery. So if you're trying to make a patch buddy to keep you company, I got you.
That's awesome. What do you like? So what do you know about sewing? How long have you been doing that?
Awesome. I've been doing it like on and off for like a year or two. I've definitely been trying to get into it more because to keep in time of quarantine, it's the quarantine 15 is strong, and so I'm trying to learn how to alter my clothes, keep the wardrobe alive. So I think outside of this, COVID and stuff, it's definitely a good skill for people to learn, specifically of altering. But I've also had people come in here who's trying to start their own fashion brands and like to embroider like their logo on like any of the shirts they're designing or any hats that they're making. On my hand, my experience is more with the altering side of things. I've done a little bit with cosplay and like making like little props there, though admittedly most of my experience is more with the 3D modeling, 3D printing side of things. In addition, on campus, we also have a cosplay club where my coworker, Michaela, she hosts that, and she definitely has much more experience on the sewing side of things, as well as when it comes to cosplay, making, like I mentioned, those little armor pieces. She's really good with those more complicated stuff. And before COVID, we'd have meetings of like 7 to 8 people show up. Now it's more of an appointment thing. But yeah, those resources are definitely there for people trying to get into the artsy hobby side of things.
Awesome. That definitely seems like a good hobby to get into in the new year. I feel like I have a couple of things that I would like to embroider, so now it's got me thinking about what I want to sew into my clothing.
I mean, if you need any help, I'm here.
I will definitely let you know. And then I guess we were sort of asking all of our guests this. Do you have any interesting resolutions for the new year? Any things you want to try in 2021 or this semester?
Okay, so maybe I'm really trying this year because I feel like I'm really worried 2021 is going to blend. Like it's how like 2020 was March and then suddenly it was over.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? In the blink of an eye, it's gone. So for 2021, I have an over-encompassing New Year's resolution, but then I have seasonal
interesting.
New Year's resolutions as well, just to add a little spice to life, So for 2021, I'm going vegan and trying out that because they have really cool recipes. I love the food science behind it. Let's just do it, And then for winter, I'm going to the gym more, the stereotypical one. But I've been good so far. And then after that is for spring is to read a book. I'm not super big on reading. I'm trying to be better at it. But at least like read like a book every other week. So trying that, and then haven't thought about the rest ones yet, but I'm being flexible.
Dang, those are some.
What about you?
Well, I like your structure. First of all, I think that's very smart. Well, I don't know. I have like this whole long list, and I don't know if I will actually get to any of them. But I'm trying to be better about budgeting and not buying excessive things. So I don't know if any of y'all want to chime in on the Zoom call.
I was saying earlier, I had like a nice like little budget for myself for the month of January, and I ended up using like actually about 60% of it in the first week. So I've been like on the smallest of budgets right now, and it's really teaching me a lot about how to like not purchase like groceries that are fun and good and
Girl, I go to Trader Joe's and the
Oh,
snacks
oh my
destroy my
goodness.
so
budget.
hard. I'm
I
also
know.
I'm vegan as well, so I'm very much pro veganism. It's also like surprisingly doable to like buy vegan
Mhm.
groceries, but it's like cheap can be hard because famously veganism is like expensive because a lot of the like fake meats and whatnot cost a lot of money. But like you can like make it happen off of like just beans. That's my
Yeah, lentils and beans. That's gonna be my entire
yeah,
bloodstream.
no, good. Please join the club. It's great.
But yeah, that's a good thing too, because with 2021 trying to get into like new habits and trying to feel productive overall cooking. I mean, that's a side effect of being vegan. A lot of this cooking comes with it.
Yeah.
But cooking is also another good thing that I've been trying to get into, and I think other people are trying as well.
Yeah, Jacob, what about you? What are your New Year's resolutions?
This is like exactly my New Year's resolution. I like my girlfriend is vegan, so I do like largely vegan cooking myself. And I feel like I did find a lot of really great recipes that I liked in 2020. But like just last week, I sat down and made like a whole new list of things that I want to try in 2021.
Nice.
So that's like sort of my resolution
Ooh.
is to like really branch out. Like I said, I made a curry earlier today. That's new for me, like I'm trying new stuff. I also want to get into baking, so I'm gonna do like a lot more bread and stuff this year.
Wow, lots of food-based resolutions, y'all. I need to go vegan, I
yeah.
guess. Gotta join the trend. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you gotta join us, assimilate.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, what else? I guess if people wanted to get in touch with you or get in touch with the circulation desk or the Makerspace, like where could they go? Who could they contact?
If they want to get in touch with us, and you can always email us at swcirc, like swecirc, williammary.edu. You can email us any questions you have regarding how like the processes are going on. You can also contact us by phone. Our phone numbers on the webpage, on the homepage, and we'll answer any questions you have. And if we can't answer it right then and there, we'll get right back to you.
Awesome. Well, Sophie or Jacob, do you have any extra questions for Amber or remarks on veganism or?
Amber, it was great having you. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming. Yeah.
Amber, I might be in touch about making like a patch. That sounds really fun.
Yes.
Yes. See, I believe in a barter economy. I'll help you make a patch. You can give me some of the bread you bake.
Absolutely.
There we
That's-
go.
You have yourself a deal.
It's a simpler
Yes.
time. Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on, Amber. This has been really fun. To find out more information about the resources in SWEM, check out their website at libraries.wm.edu. Thank you so much to Amber for coming on the show today. And if you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud. Hi, this is These Unprecedented Times, and I'm Clare Hogan with the Studio for Teaching and Learning Innovation. It's the finale of our 3-part series, all about campus resources to help you achieve your goals for the new year. College is hard at the best of times, and during a pandemic, it's gotten even harder. That's why, for our mini-series finale, we decided to focus on mental health. This week, we spoke with Lindsay Heck, the manager of integrative wellness at William & Mary, about campus resources relating to mental health and overall wellness.
I'm Lindsay Heck, so I'm the integrative wellness manager at the McLeod-Tyler Wellness Center. And what does that mean? It means that I'm really fortunate and I get to work with all of the departments of health and wellness. When we opened the facility back in 2018, we're kind of sprinkled all over campus. And how does that impact the work dynamic? What happens when we're all coming together under one roof? And we're also really fortunate that we've got 2 facilities, that are dedicated to health and wellness. The rec across the way. I work to maintain those relationships and really to share with all of you, the opportunities that you have that are coming from the departments and also the wellness ambassadors. So I do work with our wonderful crew of wellness ambassadors who are more focused on like peer impact and really integrating just a culture of well-being. And I think that we've really come a long way in the past couple of years.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So can you just highlight, just broadly, some of the resources that the Wellness Center has to help students this semester?
Yeah, and I think broad is definitely the right word to use because it is, it's a huge spectrum, right? And at any point in time, like we have a varying degree of needs. And so from health and wellness in particular, we're trying to provide opportunities that can help meet you to where you are on any given day, right? So a lot of things that are happening right now. Of course, we know we had to shift. So a lot of our clinical work is being done in a virtual capacity right now. Of course, in emergency settings, if you need to see someone in person, the opportunity does exist. We do have some work going on in the Wellness Center that's impacting that slightly, but we expect to be fully back up and running by late February, early March. But what are we doing in particular? So our wellness professionals are providing some meditation courses. So I think that that's always a great place to start, right? How can you really get to that central place of, making those like intentional, conscious choices, like taking in that moment, like moving away from a place of like reactivity, being able to like process, where am I right now? What is my next step? So we've got some meditation groups that are coming up. Demystifying self-compassion starts this week. I'm not sure when we're releasing today's episode, but we've got Martha Rouleau and Becca Marcus, who will be providing some short-term workshops. Also, the fitness and wellness classes, the Fitwell classes, those are happening virtual and in person. So that was really important to us to be able to meet people where they're feeling most comfortable. If you're in a place where coming together in person is feeling like the right thing for you to do, of course, with some safety precautions in place, then that's available for you. Last semester, we were down at Matoka. Of course, with the winter, I'm not totally down for doing yoga on the lake in February, but so a lot of that has moved over to be indoors at the rec. You're always 10 feet apart, of course, on this campus. In our community, masks are required. Also, TAP, the outdoor adventure program, they're doing a lot of like every Friday night. You can head down to Matoka. You've got to register, of course. It's limited capacity, but every Friday night they're doing some outdoor campfires and you can meet them down there for that. Guided hikes throughout campus. They've also got some indoor campouts coming up inside of the rec center. And also at the pool, you can learn how to do some kayaking or some stand-up paddle boarding as well. There's more too. We've got, I could really talk about this all day long. So, the wellness ambassadors came up with this concept a couple of years ago called Wellness Your Way. And I think that our programs are so reflective of that. It's, what can you participate in? What can you take that really meets you where you are and helps you get to that place of flourishing and thriving? And on this campus, we're so fortunate between like our sport clubs. Like, are you playing Quidditch? Is that how you're meeting like your social needs, your physical needs, or is it doing a yoga class down at the lake? Like, what is it that you need that puts you to that place where you can really thrive and get to that state of flourishing?
Yeah, that's the Wellness Center seems to just have so many programs going on. It's so fascinating to see you always have these new things that are coming up.
Yeah, it's great. And what's even better is when people show up to them. That's what's even better because, we are doing these things for you, like literally. And so, really love it when people are coming and engaging in their well-being and taking an active role and participating in their health.
Yeah. And so I know you've been highlighting a lot of different resources that the Wellness Center has. You have all these outdoor programs, you have all these sort of fitness related programs. I think what a lot of students think of when they think of the Wellness Center is mental health, right? And I know that with the new year, with COVID-19, a lot of people are having those mental health struggles. So can you talk a little bit about the Wellness Center and the Counseling Center and how those can help students who may be struggling with those mental health issues?
Yeah, so that was definitely the biggest concern, that we had as we go into this, where people were feeling isolated at the beginning, when we were starting to enter into the phases of quarantine, like how are we going to, again, meet these needs, right? So of course, with the Counseling Center, for the safety of everyone, they pivoted very quickly to be able to provide those virtual appointments for students. The Counseling Center has always provided supportive workshop series. And so some of the ones that they have coming up for this semester are resilient strategies. That's going to be starting February 9th, actually. So that is going to be a program that's in collaboration with the performance psychology consultant, just talking about strategies that can help you to enhance your own personal resilience. Like Obviously, this is a difficult time for all of us. And I don't know that it's really getting easier as we move forward in time. There's a strong sense of hope, but I mean, this is a challenging time. And how do we accept that and know and build that sense of resilience where we're going to come out of this eventually? And then another one is the ABCs of stress management, which is a workshop to develop coping strategies, also very helpful at this time. And that's really to help you manage and then hopefully maybe get to that place of preventing significant amount of stress that would impede your performance. So it's really just about implementing skills into practice. And just, adapting those coping strategies. They're facilitating that through group discussion, really exploring how you can have group activities in a healthy way and then individual things that you can do also.
Right. So you sort of mentioned how a lot of this is pivoting to be online because of COVID-19. So if somebody wants therapy from the counseling center, is that going to be like online individual therapy? Is there any sort of group option? How are those working?
So the first thing to do if you are trying to enter into the counseling center is to call, make an appointment, get set up with your triage so you can find the best mix for you. There's a variety of group therapy options for students to get involved in that would be, the appropriate fit for their experience, right? So yes, primarily those appointments are happening virtually, but there are some opportunities as we move into, once we've reoccupied the wellness center, to do some limited as a need-based in-person appointments.
Got it. And so one thing that I'm thinking of is as you're highlighting all these resources, for somebody who doesn't really know a lot about wellness, is just sort of generally struggling in school, maybe that's kind of overwhelming for them, like all of these resources. Is there a place where you would recommend that somebody start, like one program or one place that would just be a good starting point for their sort of wellness journey?
Yeah, it is a lot. I think it's, that's a great thing to bring up because especially when you're in that place where you are feeling overwhelmed, like seeing all of the options, like where do you exactly go? I think that it's great to use the app. We spent a lot of time trying to make the William and Mary Wellness app the central mobile location where at any time you can like hop on and see what's available to you. So, connecting clinically with the student health center or the counseling center is always but the William and Mary Wellness app is just handheld, pocket size, loaded book of information. So that's the most immediate way to get you linked up to like a preventative measure. Maybe you're just looking to manage some stress. You want to hop into, body pump class or like head on down to Matoka to do the campfire, or maybe taking that clinical approach is what you need to do. And you can find all of that there. Also, if you're not using a smartphone, just search wellness on the William and Mary website. We spent a lot of time after moving into the wellness center thinking like, okay, so we're sprinkled all over the place. How are we centralizing that so students have an easy way to access everything that's available to them and kind of explore in your own terms, and our professionals work together. So I feel really confident we have an integrative approach to your well-being, right? So when you're linking up with someone in the health center, they're going to be aware and have familiarity with what else is going beyond. So it's not just about like, okay, let me stop in. If you're managing depression, right, and you're having that clinical experience with the counseling center, what are some other ways that you can work to manage that? For example, the resilience workshops and or maybe taking those, again, preventative measures through classes or things like that at the app, William and Mary Wellness.
Awesome. And so you've talked a little bit about this, but obviously our community at William & Mary is kind of scattered right now. We have some people that are on campus, some people that are doing virtually from Virginia, some people that are, all over the country or even international. So how does the Wellness Center support that range of student experience for people who aren't on campus or are in even a different time zone?
Yeah, so we have our virtual health and wellness classes. That's one thing that recently came up. Like, how are we reaching our folks like at a great time? If they're, out in Colorado or California.
Right.
So, we do have classes happening throughout the day virtually. A lot of those providings are a mix of, because we're powered by students, like you all are the ones that, make this happen. So a lot of our student staff, our schedules are based off availability. These are things that we have to factor in, So the way that we've tried to accommodate this mix of schedules is having classes happening during a broad range of our day, right? They go on until about 7, 8 o'clock at night. And then also we capture those and we have the William and Mary Wellness YouTube channel. And so if you're not able to hop onto the live class, those are frequently added to the health and wellness YouTube. So at any time that it's convenient for you, you're welcome to join. We also did have a new professional join us, Jenny Call. She is currently planning a connection group for remote students. And so that will be happening in March. So if you are a remote learner right now, I definitely recommend to you to hop on the app, head on over to the series section, especially anyone who's learning remotely, like you're probably feeling disconnected from campus. And so that's one way to explore those feelings and then also to make those connections for the time that we hope to see you again.
Got it. Well, those sound great. Now we sort of have a little fun question. So we've been asking everybody in this sort of mini series, like, do you have any personal New Year's resolutions for 2021 that you're comfortable sharing with us?
Okay, so I don't usually do resolutions, right? And it's so funny because we're streaming the ball drop, right? And it started to count down and I glanced at my phone and I saw on my phone, it said January 1st, 2021. And I'm like, but wait. And I'm like doing this back and forth. And I was like, I think it's already 2021. And we're like 10, 9. And I'm like processing what's happening. And then the second thing that happened, I was like, I don't know how 2021 is going to be taken off here because I get very excited about my calendar for the new year and kind of mapping out and like, visualizing what's going to transpire and come up. And I realized that I opened it up and it said like March 2020. And I was like, what is this time warp? Like, where are we right now? So I'd bought accidentally an 18-month planner. No wonder it was on sale, right? And so it was just for the half month of 2021. But no, I'm really hopeful this year that we can start to move out of the space that we've been occupying. I am so looking forward to us being able to come together once again. I think the biggest thing that I'm doing is planning a trip. We really want to bring our family together and have an experience out west and go to Yellowstone. And so I would say my one resolution actually would be to really start to set the groundwork for my family to have an unisolated time together so we can really look forward and make some new memories out in the world.
Excellent. Well, I think we're all hoping for that too. So if students are interested in finding these wellness resources, I know you mentioned an app and the website, and you also have a Wellness Center podcast, if you want to plug all of those.
Yeah, Ways to Flourish. So we just launched that last semester. Again, that's another way for us to, remote students included. These are tidbits of information, just absorb them along the way. Tips just, again, to guide you along your own journey to find flourishing and well-being. You can connect to all of that through just search wellness at the William & Mary website or download the app and it'll all take you where you need to be. I can't stress enough, like whether you're in that place where you're not feeling so great and you want to move towards that place of feeling good, start on the app, start to experience what is available for you because, our staff in health and wellness, like we're here for you. And we want you to have a great experience at William & Mary. And we're here to lift you up if that's what you need and to help, further you along. We want you all to thrive. We want you to thrive here and we want you to thrive beyond your time at William & Mary. And really, that's our purpose. Find it on the app, start there. And you can always email us at wellness@wm.edu if you have any questions about programming. And we're happy to point you in the right direction.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate all of you and all the work that you're doing. It's wonderful.
Thanks to Lindsay for coming on the show. If you like what you heard, remember to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud, and follow us on Instagram at unprecedented.times.pod. Thanks for listening.